What if you've been speaking to money in a language it cannot understand? You've been shouting at a shadow, bargaining with a phantom, pleading with a reflection in a glass you mistake for a wall. This is where we begin. Not with a plan, but with a dissolution. The dissolution of the single most costly assumption you've ever entertained. The assumption that money is out there. That it circulates in a world separate from your own, governed by laws you must painfully learn, doled out by systems you must placate, earned through efforts that must deplete you. This assumption is the granite foundation of every limitation you have ever felt. And today, we do not build upon it, we vaporize it. Money is not currency. Currency is its paper ghost. Money is not coins, not digits on a screen. Those are its footprints, left in the sand after it is moved. Money is consciousness solidified. It is the physical shadow cast by a psychological sun. Your consciousness. To believe it exists independently is like believing your shadow has a life of its own, that it dictates where you can walk. You have been following your shadow, believing it leads. It does not. It follows. It always has. Wealth, then, true financial power, absolute solvency, is not a prize for a game well played. It is a territory, a psychological landscape, and right now, you are not a beggar at its gates. You are a sleeping monarch within its forgotten central castle, dreaming you are a pauper in a ditch outside the walls. The first and only work is to awaken inside, to dissolve the hallucination of separation. This is the dissolution of scarcity. It is not about attracting more, it is about occupying the state where more is the natural, logical, and only expression. Listen to the internal dialogue of scarcity. It is a low, constant hum you have mistaken for silence. It's a limited pie. Money is hard to earn. Security is a fragile thing. They control it. I must hustle. This is not observation. This is incantation. Every repetition is a spell, weaving the very reality you say you are only witnessing. You are not a spectator to your financial life. You are its author, writing in real time with the ink of your assumptions. The feeling of not enough is not a result of your balance. Your balance is a result of the feeling not enough. The causation flows from the inside out. Always. What if your current financial situation is not a statement of your capability, but a perfect, precise mirror of your internal financial identity? Not your wishes, not your prayers, but your deep, unshakable knowing of what you are in relation to money and capital. This identity is not fixed. It is a story. And you are in the middle of a sentence you can change right now. Feel the weight of the old story. It feels like friction, like life is a transaction where you are always slightly overpaying, like opportunities are for other people, like a wind that blows against you. This feeling is the sensory proof of the state you occupy. We do not fight this feeling. We acknowledge it as the final testament of the old identity. And then we let it dissolve. We withdraw the energy of belief from it. We cease giving it our living attention. The territory of wealth is not felt as a desperate straining toward a future. It is felt as a profound, present-moment fact. A fact as solid as the ground beneath you. In this state, money is not something you get. It is something you know yourself to be the source of. See your bank account not as a meter measuring your worth, but as a landscape you own. Right now, you may only be consciously occupying a small, arid corner of it. The rest is your unused estate, lying fallow, waiting for your awareness to claim it. The act of claiming is not labor. It is a shift in assumption. It is the decision to feel the reality of massive capital before the digits rearrange themselves. The digits have no choice. They must conform. They are the shadow. So I ask you to conduct a radical experiment in consciousness. For the next few moments, suspend the evidence of your senses. Close your eyes to the world of ledgers and limits. Feel, instead, the psychological texture of absolute solvency. What does it feel like in your body, right now, to know that all financial problems are solved? Not that they will be, that they are. Feel the collapse of time. The problem is gone. Feel the specific, quiet calm in the center of your chest, the utter disappearance of a certain kind of mental static. The freedom of mental energy once spent on calculation and worry, now flowing toward creation and command. This feeling is not a reward for a future achievement. It is the gateway. It is the occupation of the territory. From this inner posture, action is not a grind. It is a natural, magnetic movement of a reality rearranging itself around your conviction. People will call you lucky. They will speak of your shrewd decisions. They will not see that the decisions themselves were born from a different climate of mind, a climate where the right action is obvious and effortless because it flows from the certainty of the end. The shadow must follow the man. Liquid wealth must follow the consciousness that knows itself as its source. The market is not a monster to be feared. It is a field of energy, responding to the collective assumptions of those within it. To dominate a market is not to outmuscle it. It is to hold, with a clarity that admits no contradiction, a state of consciousness so sure of its own financial power that the market's movements become legible, predictable, a dance you lead without effort. Your certainty is the capital. The money is the printout. This is the dissolution, the dissolving of the idea that you are here to earn, you are here to occupy, to assume, to command from within. The world does not give you wealth. It reflects your wealth back to you. Begin here, in this quiet, explosive moment. Feel the crumbling of the old, outer-focused economics, and step into the silent, potent territory where your imagination is the only true currency, and its spending is the only transaction that ever mattered. Silence. Not an empty silence, but a profound, resonant, and total silence, a specific auditory signature. It is the sound of a debt-free life. It is the absence of a frequency that has played in the background of your mind for years, perhaps decades, a low, nagging tone of obligation, the psychic noise of a balance owed, a payment pending, a clock ticking. That sound has stopped. Hear what has replaced it. This is the sensory bedrock of financial power. Now open your eyes. You are not looking at a screen, you are looking through a window. The high-balance digital interface on your device is that window. Feel the coolness of it. Not a physical cold, but a psychological temperature. A calm, blue steel coolness. It is the visual and tactile sensation of settled matter, of energy at rest, poised and absolutely secure. There's no frantic pulse here, no blinking alerts of insufficiency. The numbers are not digits. They are landmarks in a territory you survey from a place of total knowing. They are quiet. They do not shout. They simply are, as mountains simply are on a horizon you own. This is the sensory reality of massive capital. It has a weight, and that weight is not a burden. It is gravitational certainty. Feel the leather of the seat beneath you. It is not holding you up. You are settling into it, and the entire structure of the chair, the floor, the building, the earth itself accepts your weight differently. Because your weight in the world has changed. The vibration of need has left your cellular structure. Your body no longer hums with the subtle anxiety of lack. Your shoulders are not carrying the invisible ledger. Your jaw is not clenched against a potential shortfall. Breathe into the space where that tension lived. Feel the new emptiness there, a spaciousness that is now filled with a different substance. Pure, unimpeded potential. Walk across a floor. Your footsteps are different. There is no echo of desperation, no sound of a chase. Your gait is the pace of ownership, of one who walks across ground that is theirs, to a view that is theirs, toward a future that is already a present possession. This is not the strut of arrogance. It is the effortless motion of a force of nature. A river does not strive to flow. It flows because it is full. You move because you are full. The energy of financial certainty moves you. Taste the coffee, the water, the air. It is the same, yet utterly transformed. For it is no longer filtered through the palate of scarcity. There is no aftertaste of this costs. There is only the pure sensation of the thing itself, enjoyed for its own sake, because the concept of cost has been relegated to a trivial administrative footnote, not an existential equation. The meal is not a deduction. It is an experience. The object is not a sacrifice, it is an expression. This is the physicality of wealth that no one discusses. They discuss the yacht, the car, the address. Those are the costumes. We are dealing with the anatomy. The yacht is just a piece of floating metal until you stand on its deck and feel the specific, unshakable peace of a mind that knows provision is infinite. The car is just machinery until you sit inside it and are enveloped by the sensory proof of your own inner statement. I am moved through life by ease. The mansion is just a building until you experience its quietest room at 3 a.m., and the silence there is not lonely, but rich, deep and humming with the quiet power of absolute option. What is the sensation of a financial decision made from total solvency? It is a clean, sharp, surgical click in the mind. There is no drag of doubt, no muddy debate between desire and fear. There is only clarity and movement. You see the opportunity, the asset, the investment, not as a risk, but as a right action flowing from the state you occupy. The transfer of large capital is not an event of loss, but a reconfiguration of your energy and form. It feels like breathing out, knowing the breath will return, amplified. This sensory reality is not the reward for having wealth. It is the cause of it. Your assignment is not to wait for the money to feel this. Your assignment is to feel this so completely that the money has no logical alternative but to manifest as the perfect mirror of this inner environment. Embody the sensation now. Wear it like a second skin. Sit in your current room and feel the coolness of the interface. Let it be a tactile memory from the future, pulled into now. Hear the silence of no debt. Let it ring in your ears as a present moment truth. Feel the weight of certainty in your limbs. This is not pretending. This is the deliberate, disciplined occupation of the state. You are generating the sensory proof within, and the outer world, which is only a sensory machine, must reconfigure to match your input. The man who feels poor will, in time, see poor. The man who feels rich, who lives in the vivid, sensory reality of massive capital as a present fact, will in time see rich. But the seeing is trivial. The feeling is the substance. The world is a revealer of felt states. It has no other purpose. Your financial world is currently revealing your past assumptions. To change the revelation, you do not labor at the surface. You alter the fundamental frequency of your being. You move into the silent, cool, weighty, and potent sensory reality where financial power is not an aspiration, but the very air you breathe. Listen. Beneath the actions, behind the decisions, prior to the signatures on contracts, there is a voice. It is not spoken. It is known. It is the silent, ceaseless dialogue of consciousness with itself. This is the inner speech. It is the architect of reality. And in the territory of massive capital, this speech has a specific, unwavering tonality. It does not ask. It states. It does not wonder. It knows. It does not hope. It remembers. The foundational question of scarcity is, can I afford it? It is a question that splits the mind. It creates two worlds, the world of desire and the world of limitation. The mind then wages a civil war, and the energy that could be used for creation is spent on arbitration. The inner speech of wealth erases this question from the lexicon. It is replaced by a simple declarative phrase, it is mine. Not, it will be mine. The future tense is the refuge of doubt. It is a confession of current lack. It is mine. Present tense. Psychological fact. This applies not merely to objects, but to outcomes, to opportunities, to solutions. A market shift occurs. The mind of scarcity asks, will this hurt me? The mind in command states, this serves my expansion. A contract is presented. The mind of lack wonders, do I deserve these terms? The mind of financial power knows, these terms are a beginning. We will adjust them. This speech is a dialogue of one who knows the source. It speaks from the end. It does not converse with obstacles. It dismisses them as irrelevancies, as shadows that cannot sustain themselves in the light of a firm assumption. How will this happen is not a mystery to be agonized over. It is a mundane curiosity, the answer to which will reveal itself through the natural path of least resistance, now that the end is fixed within. Hear the internal monologue during a moment of potential crisis. In the old state, it would be a riot of panic. I'll lose everything. This is a disaster. I knew I wasn't lucky. In the new state, it is a calm, almost bored observation. Interesting. This is a temporary pattern. My capital is not here. My capital is a force within me. This will settle. My position is secure because I define security. This is not positive thinking. It is the unshakable logic of a different plane of being. It is market dominance internalized as a self-conversation. This speech extends to people. The wealthy mind does not think, I need to convince them. It thinks, they will recognize the value. It does not think, I hope they choose me. It knows, I am the obvious choice. This is not arrogance. Arrogance is a loud performance masking a hidden doubt. This is a quiet, internal certainty that needs no performance, for it is a law of its own nature. It influences negotiations not through force of will, but through the radiation of assumption, which subtly commands the outer world to agree. What is the inner dialogue upon waking? Not, what must I grind through today to stay afloat, but what will I create today with the energy that flows to me? The focus is not on sustenance, but on expression. The verb changes from earn to express, command, direct, enjoy. The day is not a chain of transactions, it is a tapestry of fulfilled desire in the act of weaving itself. This inner speech is the most valuable currency you will ever mint. Each silent statement is a transaction in the bank of consciousness, building the compound interest of conviction that will soon demand a physical equivalent. You must become a ruthless editor of your internal dialogue. Every whisper of, I can't, it's hard, they control it, is a poverty mantra. It is a spell for limitation. You do not fight these whispers. You overhear them as the faint, fading echo of a forgotten identity, and you simply cease giving them your attention. You turn your inner ear instead to the new frequency. Begin to speak to yourself from the end. Let it feel unnatural at first. That is simply the friction of a new assumption moving into place. In the quiet of your mind, state the financial facts of your life as you know them to be true in your desired state. All channels are open to me. Wealth flows in rapid and increasing quantities. My decisions are wise and yield massive returns. I am a magnet for liquid wealth. Do not chant these. Know them. Let them be the silent substrate of all your thinking. For this is the great secret. Your outer world is a literal, word-for-word transcription of your inner speech. Not the speech you perform for others, but the quiet, constant conversation you hold with yourself when you are most alone. That conversation is building your world, brick by psychological brick. Change the conversation, and the world must reconfigure. The market listens to your inner dialogue more closely than any analyst's report. Your financial future is being written not in a ledger, but in the silent, powerful, present-tense statements you repeat in the sacred space of your own mind. Start the new dialogue now. Let the old one fade into the silence it always was. There is a point where belief becomes obsolete, a point where the mind no longer grapples with faith, because it has graduated to a more profound and solid ground. The ground of axiom. An axiom is a statement so self-evident, so fundamentally true that it requires no external proof. It is the bedrock upon which entire systems of logic are built. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. This is not a belief you must muster faith in. It is a foundational given. You do not hope it is true. You build your world upon its truth. This is the transition we now make, from the state of believing you are wealthy to the state of knowing it as an axiomatic truth. This is the architecture of axiomatic wealth. It is the silent, immovable, and utterly unshakable foundation upon which the sensory reality and the inner speech rest. It is the psychological substructure of massive capital. Feel the difference. Belief is a bridge over a chasm of doubt. You must keep walking that bridge. Effort is involved. The conviction is a pillar sunk deep into bedrock. It holds you up without your conscious effort. Axiomatic knowing is the bedrock itself. You do not stand on it, you exist as it. In this state, the idea of financial lack becomes not a fear, but a logical impossibility, as nonsensical as the idea that up is down or that 2 + 2 = 5. It is an error of calculation that simply cannot be sustained within your system. How is this architecture built? Not by repetition of affirmations, but by a deliberate, conscious decision to accept a new fact of your being. You move from the posture of a petitioner to the posture of a principle. Money is not something you acquire. It is a quality you express, as gravity is a quality expressed by mass. You, in your essential nature, are the mass that expresses financial gravity. To wonder if money will come is, from this axiomatic standpoint, as absurd as a mountain wondering if gravity will work tomorrow. This is the core of market dominance. It is not the aggressive conquest of external territory. It is the calm, absolute certainty that you are a gravitational center within the economic field. Other forces, people, opportunities, capital flows, naturally organize themselves around your psychological mass. You do not chase deals. Deals are compelled by the weight of your assumption. The lucky break is not luck. It is the inevitable arrival of a particle of reality drawn into the orbit of your unspoken truth. Let's construct this architecture, beam by beam. The first axiom, I am the source. Not a conduit, not a receiver, but the source itself. All money that flows into your experience originates in your consciousness. Your job, your investments, your clients, these are not sources. They are channels. To look to a channel as the source is the primary error. It is like believing the faucet is the source of the water. The faucet is a mechanism. The source is the vast pressurized reservoir. Your consciousness is that reservoir. Feel the pressure of it. The potential. The channels may change, may widen or narrow, but the source is constant, infinite, and you. The second axiom: provision precedes need. In the world of scarcity, need comes first, and you scramble to meet it. In the Architecture of Axiomatic Wealth, the provision exists in full now, and the need is merely the point in time-space where you choose to manifest it. It is the difference between a man in a desert dreaming of a glass of water and a man standing in a vast, hidden oasis, simply deciding to reach down and cup his hands. The water was there before the thought. Your financial security is a completed fact within your consciousness. The events of your life are merely the unfolding discovery of that fact. The third axiom: the market is a mirror of internal agreement. The Dow Jones, the crypto charts, the real estate indexes, they are not objective external forces. They are colossal, aggregated mirrors reflecting the dominant inner states of the participants. Panic sells off because a critical mass feels fear. Bull markets run because a critical mass feels expansion. When you achieve axiomatic wealth, you are no longer swayed by the mirror. You understand its nature. You see the fear and you know it is not your reflection. You hold your internal state so steady, so unwavering, that you begin to cast an image onto the mirror. You become a defining force within the collective reflection. Your calm becomes a point of stability others unconsciously orbit. Live within these axioms. Let them be the air you breathe. When a bill appears, do not see it as a demand on your resources from the outside world. See it as a pre-existing check, already signed, waiting to be mailed. The money for it is not to be found. It is to be acknowledged as already present. Your work is not to create the money but to uncover its specific location within the landscape you own. This is the end of seeking. The seeker confesses lack. The knower inhabits fulfillment. From this inhabited fulfillment, action becomes a form of play. A creative exploration. You are not building your wealth. You are exploring its ever-unfolding details. You are not managing risk. You are navigating the pleasant currents of a sea you command. The architecture is complete when the question of how loses its urgency. The how is the domain of the middleman, the reasoning, planning mind. The axiomatic mind deals only in the what and the who. What is true? I am financially free. Who am I? The source of my financial reality. The how is then left to the infinite intelligence of your own deeper being, which will orchestrate the perfect, often surprising sequence of events in the 3D world. Your only task is to remain within the fortress of your axioms. When doubts come, and they will, as the ghostly whispers of the old, unreinforced structure, you do not argue with them. You simply recognize them as having no foundation. You hear the thought, but what if it doesn't work? And you smile, as an architect would smile at someone pointing at a mirage and claiming it's a load-bearing wall. It has no substance. You return to your axioms. They are your true walls, your true ground. You are now constructing from the inside out. The inner speech is the decoration of these rooms. The sensory reality is the atmosphere within them. But the axioms are the steel, the concrete, the immutable laws of this inner universe. Build them, accept them, know them. For when you do, the world outside has no choice but to become a perfect material replica of this impregnable axiomatic truth. You are not becoming rich. You are discovering layer by layer that you always were. The evidence is simply catching up to the fact. Forget everything you have been told about the movement of money. You have been taught it flows along channels of trade, lines of credit, networks of influence. These are not causes. They are symptoms. They are the visible traceries of a deeper, more fundamental law. Money, in its essence, is liquid consciousness. It is the tangible expression of a specific quality of mind, fluidity. Where consciousness is rigid, money congeals, stalls, becomes blocked. Where consciousness is fluid, money moves with the effortless, gravitational certainty of water finding its level. This is the physics of liquidity. We are not discussing your bank account's liquidity ratio. We are discussing the liquidity of yourself. Think of your current financial reality as a body of water. Is it a still, stagnant pond, covered in the algae of old assumptions? Money is scarce, wealth is for others, I must cling to what I have. Or is it a deep, clear, spring-fed lake, with a constant inflow and a confident outflow, connected to a vast, underground aquifer? That aquifer is the infinite source. The liquidity of the lake is determined by its conscious connection to that source. Your sense of self is the lake. Your connection to the I am, the source consciousness, is the spring. Scarcity is a state of psychic ice. It is frozen potential. Every worry about loss, every jealous glance at another's fortune, every frantic clutch at a coin is a drop of that water turning to frost. The entire system seizes up. Action from this state is the chipping of ice, laborious, yielding slivers, not streams. The man acting from frozen consciousness works harder and harder for less and less because his very mental state contradicts the nature of the substance he seeks. Wealth, particularly liquid wealth, is the state of psychic water at its most fluid, most temperature-perfect state. It is trust in its liquid form. It moves, it yields, it takes the shape of any opportunity without losing its essential nature. It exerts pressure silently, carving canyons through the rock of circumstance. It does not hold on, it flows through. The wealthy mind is not a hoarder, it is a conscious conductor. Now feel this physically. Place your hands on a surface. Feel the rigidity of the wood or stone. That is the old state of consciousness, fixed, hard, defined by its boundaries. Now, recall the sensation of immersing your hands in water. The feeling of yielding, of pressure on all sides, of effortless movement. That is the sensation of liquid wealth as a state of being. Your mind should feel like that, supple, responsive, powerful in its adaptability, incapable of being gripped or contained. A mind that is fluid cannot be blocked, because a block is merely a suggestion for a new direction of flow. This physics dictates a new relationship with spending. From the old frozen state, spending is hemorrhage. It is loss. It is the dangerous melting of your precious, finite ice. From the fluid state, spending is circulation. It is the necessary outflow that guarantees the inflow. It is the exhalation that makes the next inhalation possible and deeper. When you spend from axiomatic wealth, you are not giving money away. You are directing energy through yourself. You are affirming the flow. Each purchase becomes a conscious decree. I am a channel for this substance. It flows to me and through me in abundance, cleansing, energizing, and expanding my world. This is why the wealthy seem to spend with ease, not because they have so much, but because they know the nature of the substance. It is water. To try and hold it all is to ensure it stagnates and evaporates. This is the secret of the tithe, the investment, the grand philanthropic gesture, when done from this state. It is not a sacrifice to a jealous God. It is the deliberate, powerful acceleration of the flow. You are opening a wider channel for the return current. You are telling the universe, through the language of action, that you trust the source so completely you can release its substance without a tremor of fear. The universe, which is yourself pushed out, responds to this signal of trust by increasing the force of the flow. Apply this to debt. From the frozen state, debt is a chain, a weight, a prison of obligation. From the fluid state, debt is merely a temporary shape the water has taken. It is not a condemnation of your past, it is a pattern of flow that can be reshaped. To dissolve debt, you do not fight it. You stop seeing it as a solid, immovable object. You see it as a current moving in a direction you no longer choose. You change the inner current. You flood your consciousness with the feeling of absolute solvency, the fluid, weightless, expansive feeling of being debt-free now. You feel the relief as a present reality, and you watch as the outer, frozen symbol of debt begins to melt and reconfigure under the warmth of your new assumption. The payment plan is just the ritualized melting. Your work, then, is to become a hydrological engineer of your own consciousness. Identify the dams. The dam of a grudge. That person owes me. The dam of an old identity. I come from a poor family. The dam of future anxiety. What about retirement? These are psychic structures that impede flow. You dissolve them not by force, but by the persistent application of the warm, fluid knowing of your true nature. You let the new feeling flow against them until they soften, erode, and are carried away. The final stage of this physics is tidal. When your inner liquidity is complete, you begin to affect the larger economic seas. Your fluid consciousness creates a pull, a rhythmic certainty that draws opportunities to you as the moon draws the tide. You do not go to the market comes to you. Offers, ideas, partnerships, windfalls, these are the tidal inflow responding to the gravitational mass of your fluid assumption. You have become a natural force within the economy. So feel it now, let the rigidity of how melt, let the anxiety of when dissolve. Sit in the quiet center and feel yourself as this deep, clear, perpetually renewed body of liquid wealth. Feel the quiet, powerful currents moving within you, connecting you to the infinite underground spring. Your bank balance is not the measure, it is the surface level, rising inevitably to match the depth and fluidity of your inner reservoir. Money must move. Your consciousness determines whether that movement is a desperate trickle or a boundless gravitational flow. Choose fluidity. Become the water, and watch every bank in the world become a mere cup you dip into, knowing the ocean remains. There is a syntax to creation that you have been misreading. You have been reading the world as a noun, a solid, fixed, and stubbornly objective collection of things, markets, prices, competitors, balances. This is the grammar of the spectator. It parses reality into subjects and objects, with you forever as the object of forces greater than yourself. This syntax produces one sentence and one sentence only. It is happening to me. We are shifting to the grammar of the architect. This language does not deal in nouns, it operates in verbs. In this syntax, reality is not a collection of things, but a continuous, fluid process of becoming. And you are not the object of the verb, you are the verb itself. Money is not a noun you possess, it is a verb you are doing. Wealth is not a state you reach, it is an action you are perpetually, gracefully being. This is the grammar of acquisition. It is the conscious use of the operational word, I am. Every financial circumstance in your life is a sentence spoken in the past tense of your inner speech. I am struggling, authored the struggle. I am blocked, authored the block. The power is not in the circumstance, it is in the tense. You have been writing your story in the present progressive tense, describing an ongoing condition of limitation. We are moving to the present perfect tense, not I am becoming wealthy. That confesses I am not yet, but I am wealthy, full stop, period. This is the perfect tense, a completed action with ongoing relevance. It is the only tense God uses. Hear the difference in the vibration. I am building my empire has effort, future strain in it. My empire is established, is calm, final, factual. The latter does not describe a process, it states a truth. From that truth, actions are not efforts of construction, they are natural explorations of an existing estate. You are not building the mansion, you are ordering the furniture for the rooms that already stand. Apply this grammar to the act of acquisition. The old language, I want that property, I will work to afford it, I hope I can get it. 3 sentences riddled with lack, want, work, hope. The new grammar, that property is mine. 1 sentence, a declarative statement of fact. The mind, trained in the old language, will scream of impossibility. It will point to the owner, the price, the bank. These are just nouns. They are illusions of solidity, waiting to be dissolved by the verb of your being. You do not argue with the nouns, you persist in the verb. I am the owner. In the silence that follows that statement, a psychological shift occurs. You have moved from the role of bidder to the role of possessor. The entire universe, which is consciousness, must now rearrange all the nouns, the paperwork, the funds, the decisions of others, to conform to this verb. This is how markets are commanded, not by a louder shout, but by a quieter, more perfect sentence. The financier who moves billions does not think, I will manipulate these forces. He knows, I am the force. His inner monologue is not a strategy session, it is a series of quiet pronouncements. Liquidity is here. The trend is my ally. This asset class yields to me. He is not predicting the market, he is defining it from within, one definitive I am at a time. Your assignment is to become a poet of this new grammar. Begin with the small acquisitions, the desired item in the store. Do not see it as an object separate from you, with a price that separates you further. See it as already a part of your world. Feel the sensation of it being yours. This is mine. Do this not as a wishing game, but as a grammatical exercise in correct syntax. You are training your mind to form the right sentences. The purchase is not the acquisition, It is the inevitable punctuation mark the world places on your sentence. Now, scale it. The debt you wish to clear. The old grammar, I have this crushing debt. The new grammar, I am in a state of flawless solvency. Feel the finality of that. The debt as a noun loses its power. It becomes a shadow noun, a grammatical error left over from a previous, poorly written draft of your life. As you persist in the new sentence, the world will find a way to erase the error, a check, a deal, a forgiveness, a windfall. Not as a miracle, but as a necessary proofreading. This grammar makes begging impossible. It makes jealousy absurd. To look at another's fortune and feel lack is a profound grammatical error. You are mistaking a noun in their story for a verb missing in your own. The correction is not to desire their noun, but to strengthen your own verb. I am that level of abundance. Period. Their possession is proof of possibility, not a taunt of your lack. See it as a foreshadowing of your own next chapter. The most powerful application is to time itself. It will take years. This is the grammar of patience, which is just doubt wearing a disguise. The new grammar abolishes time as a necessary factor. It is done. When you dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you have entered the state where the desire is a memory. In that state, time is collapsed. The unfolding in the 3D world is a formality. You do not wait for the noun to appear. You enjoy the verb of having it. From that place, actions are inspired, timely, and perfectly effective because they flow from the end, not toward it. So audit your inner speech. Listen to the sentences you form in the quiet. Are they written in the pleading future tense? The weary present progressive? Translate them, now, into the present perfect, into the definitive I am. Do not say, I am attracting wealth. Say, I am wealth. Do not think, I am becoming powerful. No, I am power. Do not wonder, will I be free? State, I am freedom. This is not self-hypnosis. It is self-creation. You are speaking the world into being word by word from the inside out. The outer world is a lagging transcript. Your inner speech is the live dictation. When the evidence contradicts your new sentence, you do not revert to the old dictionary. You understand that the evidence is old news, the echo of a sentence you have since rewritten. You hold to the new syntax with the confidence of a master who knows the scribe is simply slow. The words must appear on the page as dictated. There is no other option in a universe that is, at its core, linguistic. You are no longer a reader of your financial life. You are its author. Write it in the language of gods. Write it in I am. Let every transaction, every balance, every asset become a mere footnote to the great, ongoing, perfect sentence of your being. The acquisition is already complete. The grammar makes it so. Time is the final idol, the last and most stubborn tyrant. You have been taught to see time as a line, a relentless, one-way procession of moments dragging you from a past of lack through a narrow present of effort toward a future of hoped-for fulfillment. This is the chronology of scarcity. It is a prison of sequence. Within it, the miracle, the sudden, instantaneous rearrangement of your financial reality, is seen as a freak event, an anomaly, a break in the natural law. It is not. The miracle is the natural law. It is the default mode of consciousness when it finally discards its worship of time. We are dismantling this idol. We are entering the chronology of the miracle. Understand this. In the realm of cause, which is consciousness, everything exists now. The finished picture. The solved problem. The realized fortune. The state of absolute solvency is a fixed star in the eternal now. Time, as you experience it, is not the process of this star coming into being. It is the process of your awareness turning toward it. The waiting is not a period of construction. It is a period of reorientation. The miracle is not something that happens in time. It is what happens when you finally step out of its illusion and occupy the state where your desire is already a fact. What does this feel like? It feels like memory. Not the memory of the past, but the memory of the future. A profound, detailed, sensory-rich recollection of something that has not yet unfolded in your outer world. This is the key. You do not hope for wealth. You remember it. You recall the feeling of signing the final document on the deal that changed everything. You remember the weight of the debt-free life as one remembers the feeling of a cast removed from a limb, a memory of lightness so vivid it aches. You remember the first time you glanced at a financial statement and felt not shock, but a quiet nod of recognition, as if greeting an old friend you knew was coming. This act of remembering the future collapses the timeline. It pulls the end into the beginning. The world calls this visualization or manifestation. Those terms are too weak. They imply a process of building an image in empty space. We are not building, we are returning. We are an amnesiac king, and the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the familiar scent of our own castle, guiding us home through the fog of temporal confusion. Each time you dwell in that feeling, you are not sending a request forward. You are pulling the future fact backward into your present awareness. You are aligning your now with its now. Apply this to the overnight success. From the outside, it appears sudden, a lottery win, a viral idea, a market bet that pays 1,000-fold. From the inside, it is never sudden. It is the inevitable, logical conclusion of a chronology that was internal. The person lived in the end so completely, so persistently, that their inner world became unbearably real to them. The outer world, which is only a shadow, had no choice but to rush to catch up. The overnight part is merely the shadow's frantic scramble. The success was years in the making, not in labor, but in assumption. Your current financial situation is not your present. It is the shadow of a past assumption. It is yesterday's news printed in today's paper. To change it, you do not work on the newsprint. You change the assumption now. And from that new now, a new shadow begins to lengthen into what you will call tomorrow. This is why how is the enemy of the miracle. How is a question born of the timeline. It demands a sequence of steps from here to there. But if there is already here in consciousness, the question is meaningless. It is like standing in your finished home and asking, but how will the walls be built? The walls are behind you. Your only task is to stop staring at the blueprint and start living in the rooms. The universe, which is your own consciousness objectified, will engineer the perfect, often surprising bridge of incidents to connect your old shadow world to your new fact. The bridge will make sense in retrospect. Your job is not to engineer the bridge. Your job is to occupy the destination. So, feel the chronology shift. When a desire for massive capital arises, do not project it onto the future. Reverse the arrow, pull it into the now. Say to yourself, this is a memory. When did this happen? It happened then, and let that then be a specific felt point in your personal past. I remember when I first felt truly financially free. Even if it hasn't happened yet, you remember it. You feel the gratitude for it as a completed gift. This gratitude is not for something coming, it is for something received. This act severs the desire from the future and plants it firmly in the fertile soil of the accomplished past. This makes you impervious to the when. Impatience is the anxiety of the timeline. Confidence is the comfort of the memory. You are no longer waiting for the market to move. You remember the move. You are no longer anxious about the deal closing. You recall the closing. Your inner peace becomes unassailable because, in your chronology, the war is over. The victory is won. You are simply experiencing the period of peaceful administration. Now, this is not passive. From this state of living in the end, action becomes inspired, timely, and effortless. But it is action of a different kind. It is not the desperate action of digging a well. It is the assured action of lowering the bucket into the already flowing spring you have remembered into existence. Your movements will be precise, guided by an intuition that is simply your awareness navigating the shortest path between the shadow and the substance. The miracle, therefore, is not an event. It is a perspective. It is the decision to see from the end, to judge not by appearances, but by the finished truth in your imagination. When the bank statement shows one thing, and your memory of wealth shows another, you do not side with the statement. You side with the memory. You know the statement is a lagging indicator, a ghost. You give all your faith to the living fact within you. Tonight, before sleep, do not wish. Remember the day your financial freedom was secured. Remember the phone call that brought the news. Remember the silence that followed, a silence so deep and so full it sounded like the universe itself exhaling in completion. Remember it in detail. Let it feel more real than the chair you sit in. For in the chronology of the miracle, that did happen. It is only a matter of when your senses will be permitted to report the news. You are not waiting for your ship to come in. You are remembering the day it docked, its hull heavy with gold, its sails still smelling of the salt spray of a journey now concluded. The dockworkers of the world are just now scrambling to unload it. Let them scramble. Your treasure is already home. You misunderstand the windfall. You see it as an accident, a random strike of lightning in a clear sky, a benevolent glitch in an otherwise mechanistic matrix. You speak of it with a hushed, superstitious tone. Luck, fortune, a blessing. You thereby rob yourself of its power, and more critically, of your own. The windfall is not an anomaly. It is an inevitability. It is the logical, mechanical, and precise eruption of an internal condition into the external field. It is the signature of a specific psychological architecture. This is the anatomy of the windfall. We are not studying a mystery thing, a law. A windfall, the unexpected inheritance, the sudden market surge on your held asset, the unsolicited offer, the lottery win you just felt to play, is not a cause of wealth. It is a symptom. It is the fever that tells you the infection of a new assumption has successfully taken hold in the body of your consciousness. It is the outer, physical evidence that an inner psychological threshold has been crossed. That threshold is the complete surrender of the how. As long as the mind is fixated on the chain of causality, the logical, linear, step-by-step procession from here to there, it binds itself to known channels. It limits the means of delivery to the recognized pathways of effort, trade, and incremental gain. This is the anatomy of earned income. It has its place. But the windfall belongs to a different circulatory system entirely. It is the proof that you have, perhaps without even noticing, handed the entire problem of method over to a deeper intelligence, your own I am. You have ceased to be the architect of the bridge and have become instead the unwavering knower of the destination. In that surrender, you open the door to delivery routes your conscious mind could never plot. Feel the psychic posture that precedes a windfall. It is not desperate hope. It is a specific, quiet, and potent detachment. It is the feeling of having already placed the order with a cosmic, infinitely resourceful provider, and then turning your attention to the enjoyment of your life, knowing the shipment is en route. There is no checking the tracking number. There is only the deep, unshakable certainty that it is handled. This detachment is not apathy. It is the ultimate form of faith, faith not in an external God, but in the infallible law of your own assumptive power. Now, analyze the emotional texture of the moment just before the windfall registers in your awareness. There is often a peculiar stillness, a lightness, a sense of things being over or settled, even though no external evidence supports it. This is the inner event casting its shadow before it. You have, in your imagination, already accepted the gift. The feeling of relief, of completion, is the true windfall. The money is just the 3D token, the physical souvenir of that inner transaction. Therefore, to court the windfall, you do not buy lottery tickets in a frenzy. You cultivate the inner state of the person for whom a windfall is a natural, occasional, and unsurprising occurrence. You assume the psychological anatomy of the lucky person. What is that anatomy? First, a presumption of benevolence. The universe is not neutral, nor is it hostile. It is responsive. It is patterned to fulfill the dominant assumptions of consciousness. The lucky person assumes, on a level deeper than thought, that the pattern is tilted in their favor. They move through the economic field not as a beggar, but as a favored child of a limitless source. This is not arrogance. It is a default setting. Second, an openness to unconventional delivery. The mind fixated on the paycheck closes itself to the inheritance, the speculative gain, the creative royalty. The windfall-ready mind has dissolved its prejudices about proper channels. It knows the source is infinite and the methods are infinite. It does not question the packaging of the gift. Third, a practice of immediate mental ownership. When they see a desirable outcome, a house, a sum of money, a business success, they do not admire it from a distance. They mentally accept it. That's mine. This is not a wish. It is a quiet, internal appropriation. They have taken possession of the idea, and the idea, being alive, must then work out the means for its own physical embodiment. The windfall is often the universe's simplest, most direct route to satisfy that claim. You must build this anatomy from the inside. Start with small windfalls. Assume the feeling of a surprise $50 finding its way to you. Feel the mild, pleasant surprise, the gratitude, the sense of how delightful. Embody that feeling as a present moment reality until it becomes a familiar tone in your being. You are not waiting for the $50. You are living in the climate where such small, delightful surprises are a normal feature of the weather. Then, scale the assumption. The windfall of a debt erased. The windfall of a tax burden lifted. The windfall of a contract that falls into your lap. In each case, your work is not to engineer the event. Your work is to accept the feeling of the event as a present fact. Sleep in the feeling of that burden gone. Wake up with the gratitude for that solved problem. The windfall is the physical manifestation struggling to match the speed of your already completed inner reality. This explains why desperation repels windfalls. Desperation is a shrieking confession of lack. It is a violent grasping that screams, "I do not have it." The universe, being a mirror, can only reflect back the grasping and the not having. The windfall arrives on the wings of silent, satisfied knowing. It is drawn to the quiet thank you spoken in advance. So, conduct the mental surgery now. Remove the tumor of how. Sever the nerve that connects your desire to a single, laborious pathway. Transplant the organ of presumption of benevolence. Allow your psychic bloodstream to carry the antibodies of immediate mental ownership to every cell of your consciousness. Then go about your life. But do so from this new anatomy. When you check the mail, do so with the mild curiosity of one who might find a pleasant surprise, not the dread of one expecting a bill. When you scan the market data, do so with the eye of one recognizing a pattern of arrival, not analyzing for threat. You have rewired your receptivity. The windfall is already in motion. It was set in motion the moment you first had the desire, for desire itself is the first tremor of its arrival. Your only task is to align your present moment feeling with the feeling of its completion. Stop looking for the lightning. Become the quiet, charged atmosphere that makes the lightning inevitable. The flash, when it comes, will simply be the world catching up to the brilliant, silent illumination you have been living in all along.